I've spent many years under a bridge. And you don't realize what cold is or hunger is until you experience that.
My name is Melissa, and I am a on-site recruiter for Cornbread Hustle. I am from Irving, Texas. I was born and raised. I had a difficult childhood. My biological dad had decided that he was not ready to be a father, and he legally signed his rights over. So my mom and my grandma took care of me for a long time, and they are my rock. As for childhood, the only thing I really remember is a lot of loneliness and always trying to figure out where I fit in. I remember in junior high that I'd finally found where I fit in, and that was at church. That was around happy people. And I got baptized and I did really good, and I finally found my spot until something shifted in high school. I started doing things to feel and be accepted. When I went to college, I met a guy, and I started all in one night. This all happened in one night. I smoked weed for the first time. I drank for the first time. I had sex for the first time. I woke up hungover throwing up for the first time. And so that's where, and I did it all for the attention of this guy. My deep drug addiction begins when I am 22. I met a girl and we started snorting cocaine. And I waited tables and I bartended and I was in that scene, and I needed to stay awake more and I needed to focus, and oh, look, if I do this, then she'll accept me. I'll have a friend. There's a friend right there. And so that started. Next thing I knew, I was snorting cocaine just to get through the day. And then I met this guy. He turned my world upside down in more ways than one. He was using heroin, and I started using heroin with him, knowing nothing about it. Literally nothing about it but the way it made me feel. And it took away any and everything that was negative in my head until the high was gone. I remember waking up one morning throwing up and having no idea why. And it was because I was hooked on heroin. And it's not just a mental addiction. It's a physical addiction. If you don't have it, you get dope sick. And the best way I can describe dope sickness is having the flu times 10. It's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Next thing I knew, my God, my higher power, had turned into a man and drugs. And that was all that mattered. You know, people ask me if I've been to prison. No, but I've done county time. But my prison was under the street, under the bridge. And I chose that and the drugs and him for so many years. The first time I was homeless, it was snowing. And I remember having to walk and how cold it was. I would panhandle for money. You want to feel low. That sucked. I used to stand on the corner with a sign, begging for money, knowing it was only to get that next fix. And I would go hungry. I would go hungry before I was dope sick. We were living in a car wash parking lot. And
we used to dig in the dumpsters to get cardboard boxes. And we loved 7-Eleven because they used to throw away all their food that they thought was expired, but to homeless people, it's like gold. And, that sucks. Being so hungry that you eat straight out of the dumpster. And when we would go to bed at night, we would sleep in a parking lot under cardboard boxes. And I remember one day it was windy, and so we were just getting dirty. And there were moments that I would go weeks without showering. Socks was the biggest thing. If I ever got a new pair of socks, it was like the best day. Because we were always walking. And when you're a drug addict and you're homeless, the last thing you care about is your hygiene. And so I will never take a shower for granted again. And I was digging in a dumpster. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I just got done panhandling, and we were at the tent site, and we just gotten high, of course. And then next thing I know, I see 2 cop cars. Oh, my heart sank. When you see that second cop car, you're like, okay, that's it. And it was cold that night. But I got arrested. I had 4 felony warrants for theft with 2 priors. I detoxed in jail. I thought I was going to get beat because I'd have to wake up in the middle of the night and throw up all night. And it pissed the girls off, because I was in this big pod with metal bunk beds, and, when you're detoxing, your bones hurt. I mean, like, literally your bones hurt. So, I just decided I didn't want to be cold anymore. I wanted to wear a clean pair of socks every day. And I just wanted to be better. And I just wanted to be me again. And I love me. I get to wake up in a bed in an apartment with my husband. And I get to go to work. And I get to help people find a job. And sometimes when I talk to these people, it's like I'm talking to myself sometimes too. So it's very therapeutic. And I think that's what helps us to continue in our recovery. It's kind of like therapy. I'm sitting there on the phone and they're just like, I just want someone to give me another chance. I just need, my background. And I'm like, look, I know. And that's why I'm here. I just love my life today. I really do. Love going to church. I still go to church on Sundays. And so I guess I'm a very colorful person. And I have a Bible that I literally use colored pencils in, and it's just like so decorated. But I have a den in my apartment where I can sit and I just breathe and be with God. And I did Celebrate Recovery for a while, and I love Celebrate Recovery. It's really cool. It's really cool. As long as I put God first
and I talk about my feelings, and I don't let them bottle up to where I explode. It's all a process, you know what I mean? It's like growing up just at a different age. One of the hardest things I've learned, which now I can understand how my mom feels, how my mom had felt, but you can't want it more than they do. And you know, even being out there on the street, there were times I wanted it. There were times that I wanted to just leave it all and go get help. But somehow that's the hardest thing to do, until you're really ready and until you really want it. And I just want people to know that you don't have to stay stuck in that world. There is a way out. No matter how far you have fallen, there is always a way out.